What is good? Can't make this shit up, honestly. It's been absolutely bright and sunny all morning, as you can see from a little bit of the blue sky in the background. The second I step out to go for a walk, look at the state of the sky, honestly. And it has actually started raining, so I'm hoping I'm not going to get caught in an absolute downpour, which is highly likely given how this week of events has been. The weather's been pretty atrocious. We haven't really been out much. Louis's been sick. It's just been one of those. He went to every week our childminder takes him to, they call it like a forum here. It's essentially like a community hall where a lot of the local childminders can take the kids. It's a great opportunity for the kids to mingle. They do different things every single week. Last week was more like a soft play type thing. Louis absolutely loved it. But what comes with kids mingling? They're bloody germs mingling. So bless him, he got up on I think it was Friday morning, just really snotty, had a bit of a cough, and that's just developed through the weekend. So it's been a little bit of a tough one. And then, as I say, add to that the fact the weather has been diabolical, wet, miserable, cold. We haven't really done a huge amount, so I thought, you know what, today I've had a busy morning getting check-ins done, the blitzers at week 4, my normal full-time clients also smashing it. Thought, you know what, had a bit of lunch, let's get out for a nice walk, let that digest, get a bit of sunshine. And as I say, bloody weather, absolutely terrible. My own training's been pretty good, all things considered. Like I say, considering it has been a bit of a wet and a miserable one. A few early morning sessions, the 5 o'clock in the morning sessions happening and going pretty well. Diet's all been on point, other than Saturday night we were entertaining. It's also been a busy week of entertaining, which we don't often do, so it actually is quite tiring. And we were entertaining people that were French as well, so for me in particular it's actually quite hard work to do all of the usual stuff, but trying to do it in a second language. Yeah, really quite mentally tiring. But yeah, we had something called raclette, which I'll probably pop a little picture up of on Saturday night, which is essentially just lots of like cooked cured meats, potatoes, and then you just melt cheese all over the top of it. Very French. But that was a nice company, nice to have that there, even if it wasn't necessarily particularly on plan for me. Bonjour. Also ended up waking up having gained about 3 pounds overnight, 2 or 3 pounds overnight, but it's settled back down again. And then it was a relatively sort of on-plan meal on the Sunday lunchtime when we had other people round. I just made up a little Greek meze type thing. So we had some meat with some beef meatballs, like beef kofta, hummus, pita breads, the salads. So that was relatively good. But yeah, my own stuff pretty decent. I'm up about 0.9 of a pound again on average, but still feeling pretty good for it. The pictures I'll take tomorrow, obviously, as I send those over to Christian for check-in, and then I'll get the next part once he's got back to me. But yeah, all in all, feeling not bad. Like I say, just trying to get out for a bit today, because it's been one of those like cooped up kind of weekends, needing a little bit of a break. This rain's getting heavier and heavier. I'm gonna have to get the brolly out in a minute, which probably means I'm going to stop filming. But no, I hope everyone's well. It's definitely that time of year, isn't it? Just illnesses, coldness, darkness, not much fun. But anyway, I'll be back again following Christian's reply. You'll be able to see the pictures, and I expect it'll be more of the same again. But I'll catch up soon. So a little bit of a bonus part to this particular YouTube. I thought this might be quite useful to help explain a concept that I often think is made more complicated than it needs to be, but I understand that different people learn and take these things on board in different manners. So something that most people hopefully are aware of these days is the concept of like calories in, calories out, the way to lose weight, creating a calorie deficit. But I think what can sometimes cause confusion is almost how that like energy stuff is made up. And you'll hear terms thrown around like TDEE, total daily energy expenditure. You'll hear stuff like BMR, basal metabolic rate, NEAT, TEF, like all of these sort of terms and phrases, and I think it can be a little bit confusing. And what I wanted to try and do was basically compare, if you're thinking about like your income and your expenses. So if we're thinking about things financially, which a lot of people have probably got a little bit of a better grasp of, if we think about things in like monetary terms, and then we try and relate those to the sort of calories, energy expenditure, it might just help to sort of give a little bit of a better understanding. And what I've got here in these two charts essentially is just trying to explain that to you. On the one hand, we've got the financial side of things. So if you think about like your calories coming in as being a little bit equivalent to your wages coming into your bank. So when I'm talking about wages, I'm talking about the money that actually hits your bank, like post-tax and all of that other stuff. This is the money that you actually receive into your bank account. You might then have a few other little incidental things, you know, you might get a bit of bank interest, etc. So what we can see, the income that's coming into our bank is £2,000. Similarly to where we compare that to food, we've eaten 1,800 calories worth of food and we've drunk 200 calories worth of food. So the energy that's come into our system is 2,000 calories. What we've then got are like the different sort of levels of things that relate to different kinds of needs within the body. And again, I've tried to compare these to different needs within like the sort of, you know, the basic necessities. So when we think about BMR is that basal metabolic rate. It's essentially the calories that your body will burn just by staying alive. So literally, and I think sometimes this is a concept that people find quite hard to get their heads around. If you were to literally lay in bed and do absolutely nothing, you would still use most of the energy that you expend in the day from that purpose. And that's your body just like, it's breathing, it's pumping blood around, it's brain function, it's all of the stuff that actually just keeps us alive. And if you think about that making up, you know, a good 75%, you know, 60, 75% of your daily energy expenditure, similarly to how like the basic needs of paying your mortgage and your rent, paying your utility bills and putting food on your table, they're going to make up the vast majority of the amount of money you spend every month. So that BMR level is by far the biggest chunk. We've then got this very small little thing here, and like this, what we call TEF, it's the thermic effect of food. And this is basically, it's the energy that your body uses to just like burn, basically the energy your body uses to digest food. It's a very, very small number. I mean, I've probably over-egged it a bit. Like sometimes it might be like 5%-ish. It's a very, very small number though. So, you know, I said it's literally like 5 calories. Similar to, you know, if you've ever used, I don't actually know anyone who does this, but I was trying to think of something really small and incidental. You know, if you're in a shop and you buy something and it's like, whatever it might be, it's £50 and 70 pence, and it asks if you want to, I don't know, like donate the 30p to charity. That's the kind of thing I mean here. It's like those really small incidental stuff that doesn't make much difference in the grand scheme of things. That's thermic effect of food. A lot of people probably over egg this, like they'll talk about protein being the hardest macro to digest, and like one of the benefits of eating loads and loads of protein is that you burn more energy in eating it. There's a very small element of truth in that, but it's so small that honestly we just needn't worry about it. So you've got your basic needs just to live. You've then got this tiny little thing that is the amount of energy used to burn food. The next sort of biggest chunk for most people is this thing that you'll hear referred to as NEAT, which is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Basically, it's a fancy way of saying this, all of the other movement that isn't formal structured exercise. And that could be things just like, you know, walking to and from work. It could be brushing your teeth. It could be cleaning the house, cleaning the car, standing and stirring while you're cooking. Like all of those little things that you don't necessarily think too much about, but they happen. And that might be equivalent in the financial sense to like, you know, eating out. It might be your phone bill, like it might be putting petrol in the car. It's the stuff that almost has to happen, but you know, you don't necessarily think about it too much. And so we have this level here. And then the final sort of piece of that puzzle is EAT, or what we call exercise activity thermogenesis. So that's the intentional exercise that we do, whether it's going to the gym, playing sport, going for a run, whatever it might be, you know, that falls into that bottom section. And often that's the smallest part. And I think it's where we quite often get these things completely the wrong way around. People think that like the energy that they're expending in the gym is this huge chunk of the energy expended in their day. And it just it just isn't the case. You know, it's almost the lowest for many people, unless you're the kind of person who's running marathons on a daily basis, in which case you're going to be expending a huge amount of energy. But for a lot of people, it's a relatively small number. Doesn't mean it's not important, it's just worth knowing that it is a relatively small number. And that, as I say, it might be equivalent to a bit more of those luxury item things, going clothes shopping, trainer shopping, whatever it might be. You know, those were a little bit more luxury good type things. So what you can see in these examples is the income exactly matches the expenditure, same as the calories in exactly match the calories out. So this is what we call maintenance. Essentially, your body weight is neither going to grow or fall because we're matching energy in and energy out. Similarly, in the financial example, you're not going to be like increasing your savings pot, or you're not going to be, you know, in the red and having to, you know, use an overdraft, because income exactly matches expenditure. If we want to create the calorie deficit, which is what we need to be able to lose weight, we either have to reduce the calories that we consume. So that's potentially reducing the food or drink that comes in. It's potentially increasing the amount of energy that we expend. So that's, you know, whether we increase the amount of intentional activity we do, whether we increase the number of gym sessions, we increase the length of time spent in the gym, we increase the cardio we're doing. You know, the neat side of things potentially is where steps often fall. So increasing your steps, you know, those things can create the deficit that way, because then expenditure becomes greater than calories in. You could do a bit of a combination. So you could take a little bit of food away and you could increase something on the expenditure side, and you create your deficit that way. Similarly to on the financial side, like you could, you know, if you wanted to create that deficit, I mean, the where this slightly falls apart is that from a financial point of view, it probably almost works the opposite. Like you'd want to be increasing your income and decreasing your expenditure, and you'd want to be growing your money pot. But the concept, I think, makes sense. Like if you were to spend more than you earn, you're in the red, like you're creating a deficit, you've got a shortfall, and that's what that deficit is. So, you know, one month you might, you know, you spent too much money on your luxury items, for example. You know, you intended to spend £150 and actually you spent £300, and you're £150 in the red before you even get to the next month's wage coming in. And then you might have to pinch here and there. So it's this concept of like, you know, energy in and energy out. But I thought this might just be quite a sort of interesting way to explain it. It might make a bit more sense to people when we see it. Hopefully the breakdown of like the different sections that make up that total daily energy expenditure also makes sense. But, you know, any questions on that, do give us a shout, because I appreciate it's a concept that should be relatively simple to understand, but I do think is often made more complicated. And hopefully this has just, you know, added a little bit of clarity. Okay, so here we go. It is Tuesday morning, approaching Tuesday lunchtime. Check-in sent to Christian. Reply has come back, and pretty much as expected. A really, really good check-in actually, and like Christian's very, very complimentary at the moment. And I think, to be honest, I've probably needed a bit. I know, you know, I can be my own biggest critic, as most of us probably are. And, you know, it's quite common for me to sort of look at my pictures sometimes and think, yeah, am I getting a bit fat? And, you know, I'm about a stone up now from where we were down to, you know, and a stone up in the grand scheme of things. Like it sounds like a lot of weight, 14 pounds. It's about 6 kilos. You know, it's a decent chunk of weight to be putting on. And it's gone on in the space of, sorry, I'm just trying to put this bloody changing mat away from Louis this morning. You know, it's gone on in the space of about 20 weeks. So yeah, like, you know, a really steady 0.6, 0.7 pound a week on average. And actually I'm leaner than I probably give myself credit for. And, you know, Christian picked up on that this morning. Like actually, if you look at my back has still got like the detail, what will often get referred to as like that Christmas tree look. My obliques are still in my side shots. My stomach's actually fairly tight in the pictures. Obviously when I'm like relaxed and I'm sitting and I'm all hunched over, like, the rolls are there because that's very natural and normal. But actually, in the grand scheme of things, the visuals are pretty decent. So yeah, I think I probably needed that little bit of, not exactly a pep talk, but just a little bit of a boost of confidence, shall we say, which was nice to get. So yeah, all in all, like a really, really, good week, good feedback, good check-in. Christian said that we probably expect to see the weight steady out a little bit coming up, and I agree. It's obviously crept up and up for the past few weeks, and at some point, the amount of food that I'm eating with the amount of exercise and stuff that I'm doing, we are going to see it level out, and that's not a problem. The body's responding when that happens. And then we decide, do we want to make that little extra bump, or do we want to hold things for a little while? Obviously going into the Christmas period, which, it's not going to be a massive change for me. Like, we're at home for Christmas. Christmas Day will be a roast dinner. There might be a little bit of Christmas pudding and stuff happening, but it is certainly not going to be a crazy, crazy thing. I might even, and I haven't, actually, yeah, I'm going to decide actually. I wonder whether I'm going to. I haven't really thought that far ahead, but my gym is now 24 hours. I haven't had access to a 24-hour gym for Christmas before since I've been in France. So I need to decide, am I going to get up and go and do like a 5 a.m. gym session on Christmas morning? We shall see. It probably depends what day of the week it is. I can't actually remember what day Christmas falls this year. Let me have a quick look on this calendar. Christmas Day is Thursday, which is normally a push day. So we shall see. We shall see. Yeah, that's yet to be decided. Lara probably won't like the fact that if I do say that, but anyway, we'll see. But for now, I'll leave this video here. Obviously, you'll have seen the pictures. I've also popped up a little bit of a, hopefully, a bit of an explanation of like what makes up calories. I know it can sometimes cause a bit of confusion, and I thought it was worth just throwing that one in there, just as something to hopefully help, just with that understanding and with that explanation. Like, if anyone's got any questions on anything that regard to that, like how to create a calorie deficit, what your calories and macros should be, please do let me know. Like, pop a little comment below, send me a message, ben@benhowardfitness.com. All my socials are @benhowardfitness. They're all linked in the description. But yeah, share it, like it, subscribe, do all that amazing stuff, because it definitely helps. And I hope you are, finding these videos enjoyable, sharing a little bit more about me and life, but also I'm trying to drip in a little bit of the sort of, the educational stuff from now and from time to time as well, so that, you can also learn, and it's not just me waffling and rambling. But anyway, have a fantastic week, and I'll be back next week.